Well, good afternoon. Did everybody enjoy the lunch? Yes, outstanding, outstanding. That was from the food services. It was not our culinary arts students. Our culinary arts students provided the pastries and the dessert, but our food service staff here at Laney provided the lunch. So kudos. Everybody that I talked to said it was great. So Dr. Besikoff, you're the first one up, so please carry that on. What we're going to do now is try to provide a summary. We may not capture everything, but each of the presidents are going to reflect what they got from the two sessions, so we can capture that information. If there's something that's glaringly, missed, please let us know. We are recording this, and we will have it available, and then we will also, once we compile all of this in a document, we will send it out to everyone. You'll get to see all of the sessions. So if you were only able to go to two, you'll see what was discussed at the other two, so that we can get your feedback, because we need to make sure that we heard what you said. And if we did not hear what you said, then we can't make it an actionable item. So this is not just to get together and, see everyone, and great to see you, and that was fun too. I saw a lot of faces I hadn't seen in years, but really, this is with intentionality, and that was a word that I heard in more than one session. We did this with intentionality, so that as we build and grow our campuses, that we make sure we're representing the community of the Peralta Community Colleges. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Besikoff, and again, if there's something glaringly missing, please, raise your hand and we'll try to capture that. We still have people capturing information. And then we're going to compile it all and get it back out to you. With that, Dr. Besikoff.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. First of all, just want to say again to everyone who really worked to put this event together, and especially the team here at Laney, thank you so much. So really, the conversation that I was privileged enough to co-facilitate, along with my colleague Lupita Alcala, really was about developing sustainable and healthy college communities. And it was really good to have really the combination of the students who weighed in, especially in the second session. We had 3 of them, which was great. Our employees, our leadership, and then also just leadership and stakeholders within the community. Really felt like there was a great balance throughout the conversation. And along the way, heard a lot of things about things we're doing we need to turn the volume up on, or maybe put on steroids and do more. Heard about things we're doing maybe we need to tweak a little, and then also some things that are emerging that we need to look at. So as going through these, in terms of what we've done across our 4 colleges with the fall semester and addressing student basic needs, a lot of the needs that we're addressing, there were positive comments, but really looking at how we communicate the services and the things that are available to students, and having that be consistent and regular communication that goes, and that it be student-driven. Areas that were highlighted as really to emphasize, the first 2 really were about technology, internet service, and Wi-Fi hotspots. Wellness, particularly mental health wellness, came up as a big topic. And then the chief one, the one that really dominated the first of our 2 discussions, was housing, and looking at housing availability for students. Continuing to address student basic needs, continuing with addressing food insecurities. But on that, looking at really taking a mindset of when we look at food insecurities, answering the question as much as we can of what do students do beyond when they're not on when they're on campus for food. In other words, not just at lunchtime, looking at those things. With that came a call for collaboration, looking at us to take advantage of ongoing state funding and other resources we have available. Among needs that, an emergent need that we need to look at is childcare. That's something we need to look at. Of course, gas prices, everybody knows what they are right now, continuing to look at transportation and parking. And then also just really looking at skills for students as they move forward. Financial literacy, digital literacy, things like that, just to support them as they're in this stage of being a student and beyond. Again, one concept that we looked at, and we do it, I think, all 4 colleges, but really in addressing student needs with the regular and consistent communication to them, also convenience, and the term one-stop came up a lot as a means of delivery, and that was something that was very helpful. And then finally, really the call that came out was that we're connecting with the community, we're connecting with organizations, and the message was do it more. That really was something to look at. And then finally, as part of the discussions, safety also came up as something that we need to continue to address. All in all, 2 great discussions, and I just want to say thank you to all who attended. Thank you.
All right. I had the privilege and pleasure to facilitate the career education partnerships with Dr. Wright and the West Ed team. It was really good that this discussion took place right after the West Ed shared with us those great contextualized data because it put everything in perspective. Both rounds, round 1 and round 2, were well attended, and we had a diverse participation: industry, public sector, high schools, the city of Alameda, city of Oakland, adult education, and all Peralta employees. These are some themes, in the high-level themes. We talked about the need for a new form of outreach, or diverse forms of outreach, to reach all students, not only traditional and adult students, for all students. A need for employer engagement, connecting to jobs, paid internships, apprenticeships. Also, we talked about trying to focus in a human-centered design of everything we do. Allow everybody to find themselves in career education or other courses, especially focusing in getting to know who are our students and how do their needs for learning and advancement evolve, going from re-entry, older students, students with diverse learning style, formerly incarcerated students, students who come back for skill building. There is a lot of common themes between round 1 and round 2, but the highlight in both rounds is there is a need to bridge the general education and career education, creating new courses that feature to these new needs in the industry and our communities. Also a need for centralized collaboration, centralized workforce development, strategic planning across the district and across all the entities in our community that work towards the same goal, so we can improve the effectiveness and efficiency of our efforts. Professional development was a huge theme that showed up time and time again. How do we provide professional development for educators, employers, students, community members? And how do we align district-wide workforce development plan with industry needs? So centralized workforce development, again, came as a key theme when we have to work together with industry and community partners to reach out to students and to ensure that they upgrade their skills to meet the demand of the 21st century economy. So, thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, again. I'm feeling very hip because I get to read my notes from my cell phone. A lot of the students do that. So Angelica Garcia, president of Berkeley City College, and I had the honor of being in the sessions, the K through 16 partnerships. And what I want to share, I think what was similar, is that both amazing discussions, commonalities, but also interesting how the conversation shifts by who's in the room. And so I'm thinking of our young colega here, student, who said, you know, when students' voices are there. And so I think all of our sessions, we were talking about how the nature of the conversation took another level. And to all the students who were participating and where you shared your experiences, thank you so much. Okay, so that was my general intro. In terms of what we saw that's working well, so across the K through 16, what's working well is that we have some understanding and some agreements. We have an understanding of the role that each segment is connected to the next. So for example, our K through 12 district partners with the community colleges, with four-year institutions, community-based organizations, and then we also discussed even the relationships that we have with employers around K through 16 partnerships. Some of the highlights were that when there is intentional collaboration, when faculty at the community colleges connect with faculty in the K through 12s or the 4 years, we become stronger. We are able to replicate programs and scale them up a lot faster. We spent a lot of time talking about what it meant to support that students see themselves as, in fact, college going. And that the narrative that community colleges is somehow the lesser option is something that we all need to demystify. We need to just disrupt that story. That narrative serves no one well, especially students. And so one of the things that we talked a lot about is how do we connect with students about what our different sectors are? So for example, how do we at the community colleges maybe stop talking about four-year institutions as the ivory tower, but rather that they are welcoming students? How do our four-year partners talk about community colleges as we are a source and a well of brilliance and excellence, and that they are lucky to have community college transfer students? We spent so much time talking about intentionality, and one thing that came up as a resounding theme is that some of the amazing work that's taking place is taking place because of the people behind it, the personal relationships, which is beautiful, except when a person transitions. And so now what happens is that we have to recreate efforts. So how are we codifying, institutionalizing things so that when the players change, our promises to each other and especially to students does not? So that was a major theme that came up. And then the last piece, I feel like we talked about so much, that was really evident was in these partnerships how much we can co-locate. So how can we take and have students be on the college campuses at the community college level and the four-year level? How can we even make sure that conversations are not just happening with high school students, but rather early in the schooling career, because we're also engaging with caregivers and their community members. So a lot of ripe opportunity for engagement. And then the biggest nugget that I want to share is in the second session, we had a lot more students. And one thing became evident. Coming to one of our colleges is impacting lives. Students' lives are being changed because of the relationships that they're building with one another, with faculty, with staff, with administrators. And that is the message that we need to make sure is loud and clear to the community. So thank you all very much for your engagement in the K through 16.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know, President Garcia says reading off a phone makes you hip. I don't know if this is enough to make me hip, especially with my glasses fogging up. So my response, I had the honor and pleasure of participating in the conversation around improving community and campus public safety. I want to thank everyone, including the students, and John's comments definitely in terms of edifying that conversation. So talk about a few of the things that, the feedback in terms of what we're doing well in terms of campus safety. One thing was, even though there may not be unanimity around this, in general, people felt that it was positive that the district was continuing to work toward providing a holistic approach to public safety, particularly by ending the partnership with the sheriff. The second thing was that people felt that Marina Security's presence, while not ubiquitous, but present, was a positive. It made people feel that we were addressing the issues related to safety, taking it seriously, and it was a source of comfort to know that people were around. And the third thing that was noted as a positive was the effort to re-engage and initiate the safety aid program. I don't see Stacy Thompson here, but she is working closely with the district at the behest of the chancellor to try to reinvigorate that program, given that it's kind of trailed off a bit since the onset of COVID. So now let's talk about the things that we can do better. We don't want to be self-congratulatory, so these things are important. A little louder? Okay. A little slower? Okay. Get my radio voice on. Okay. What do we need to improve upon? So despite our best efforts, some students still don't feel safe. I think in general, what we were trying to contend with is this juxtaposition between not having people feel that the campuses are under a police state, but at the same time ensuring that there's a degree of actual security. And we're still working on ensuring that every student, every faculty member, every staff member, every administrator feels safe. So that was one of the things that was mentioned. Another thing was to focus on building strong relationships with the community and addressing, I believe what John said, some of the underlying causes of crime, the homeless situation, the economic situations, addressing students' mental health through the CARES teams. So not to just look at you want to look at not the symptoms, but the root causes. And finally, there was a discussion about really looking at the different security needs at each campus. I'm going to just go ahead and say this. Different campuses have different needs. Merritt being a bit of a remote campus, at nighttime, that's a challenge. Laney being a campus right off of BART, urban area, there was an individual who shared that her students had some of her students had their cars broken into today. That's a reality. So how do we get very clear about the different needs of each campus? And finally, having additional conversations about how the district can continue its systemic policy shift towards continuing a more holistic approach to public safety. And again, it's about putting systems and processes in place to ensure the daily safety of all our campuses. So with that, I will turn it back over to the Chancellor.
Thank you. Every now and then, I don't need my little cane, I need an arm. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to, before we leave, this morning I went around and asked individuals to stand up and to be recognized. And I had asked David Silver, and I think you had left. So David is with the mayor's office. Thank you for being here at the end. I just wanted to make sure I didn't overlook you. Just listening to what we captured today, which is not comprehensive. We did it kind of at the 30,000 foot level. We will actually capture some of the specific comments that were made. In qualitative research, that's really what you want to do. You don't want to try to paraphrase what you thought people said. You want to put down what they said, because through that understanding and that language is where we together collectively can move forward with some actionable items. And there were several actionable items. I bounced around from session to session, sometimes being a bit disruptive, and I just can't help myself. And other times just really listening to what the comments were made. I was struck, out of all of the sessions, I was really struck by the comments that were made by the students. We started the day out, and the question was posed, are we looking at things from a student's point of view? And we always try to do that. We try to make that things and decisions that we make based upon our perception of what we think are in the best interest of students. But when you hear it coming from the mouth of babes, and I put that literally because not all of them are children, they're adults. But when you listen to that and you capture that, it speaks much louder than anything that I could put together or that you individually could put together, but collectively, it is extremely powerful because there were commonalities, as Dr. Garcia said, in the sessions, even though there were different people in the room. And in research, we call those emerging themes. And that is what we want to capture. What were the emerging themes within each of the topic areas that we had? And what were the emerging themes that branched all four or two or three of those? One of the ones that I heard loud and clear, communication, strengthening our partnerships, which included communication, and moving forward, not just with words, but with actions. And that's what we want to get out of this. This isn't just to get together and, say, yeah, it's good to see you, have some great food, and have conversation. What we capture today will become part and parcel of the district's strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 to 7 years. So I want to thank all of you for being a part of that. We couldn't have done it without you. Our internal voices also reflected in our external voices from the community. And as we go forward, I absolutely believe whatever we do, if it is reflected in the actionable items that we got from this communication in this process of a charrette, we will have our community go along with us because they will feel like they're part of the solution, not just an adjunct out to the side. So I want to thank all of you, your commitment of time. I can't believe there's this many people still here from starting this morning at 9 o'clock, but somebody said if you feed them, they will come, Dr. J. So thank you all. We could not have done it. I want to thank the presidents. Outstanding job, outstanding job. Our faculty, our classified professional staff, all the people that put this together, the hours, you have no idea. We even had a rehearsal last night at 6 o'clock, a last dress rehearsal last night, just to make sure everything was okay. Our technical staff in the back, Amy Marshall and her staff, groundskeepers, DGS, Director of Public Safety. I'll get you in 1 second. West Ed, because they kind of crafted all of this. And I have one comment right in the middle before I let you out the door.
I recently was a bit disappointed in finding out that all students who apply to Peralta information is given to the military for drafting. I don't think that a lot of students know that, and I think that's something that is really, really important when we talk about our systemic situations. So I think that that is something that needs to be addressed. I do not think and feel that all students or nor any student should be automatically forwarded over to military for drafting.
I remember, I'm just kind of, going through my Rolodex in my head. I remember this issue came up a few years ago, but I don't know what the resolution was. Anybody? Dr. Droker?
So this is actually called the Solomon Act, that educational institutions provide information to the military, but students have the right to opt out, and that is on a form on our website. I do agree that probably students don't know about it, and that is something that we've been having conversations. One of our faculty members, Mark Lispy, brought this forward to us recently, and so we are working together to make sure that students know they have that option.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. Are there any questions you just reminded me to ask before I'm between you and the door? Are there any questions, any comments anything that the presidents did not cover in a section. You know, we also captured paper because some people didn't get a chance, and so we asked them to put it down on the sheets. So I know we have some of that, but if anybody has anything that you just really feel you want to share in this forum. I can't see, is there a hand in the back? Okay. Oh, and a hair, okay, so back there in the back first and then right here. Oh, wait, oh, go ahead.
How will students know that the opt-out date, that information is included?
So that's why I said we were just now working on making sure that students, we recognize that students didn't know that. That's what came up in recent discussions. And so we are working to make sure with our student services department that students know they have the right to opt out. Yeah.
Okay, so let me go to the person, can we, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait, this is not the forum to get into why, because it's a law, but you can opt out. And that is the part that I remember. It is a law if you're receiving federal funds, and I think we all want to get financial aid, that's federal funds, we have to do that. The student has the opt-out. So we're not getting into if we should or that's the law. We have to do it. And I want to give you financial aid, so I'm not going to say, no, federal government, we decide not to do that. But you can opt out, and that's the key issue, is you have that opportunity to opt out, okay? I had somebody.
Yeah, it's Dr. Jackson, it's Shonda Scott. And I just wanted to just take this time to publicly thank you for this session and what you're doing, because I'm an Oakland native and a second generation in Oakland. So I just wanted us to give you a round of applause and say thank you for this.
Thank you. That's a great way to end. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate, two more hands, one in the back, and David.
Sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to, ending with Shonda Scott, and that is probably the best, but I'll withhold. I wanted to just say on behalf of the mayor's office, just also thank you. Thank you to your leadership at Peralta and all the leaders at the presidents. The bottom line is, if we're going to actually truly have a city that works, a city that is successful, a city that is equity-based, we must have Peralta functioning at a high level and in deep partnership with our schools, our community partners as we go forward. So just wanted to say this is a great step in that direction and would love to continue that as we go. A couple of things that we're doing in collaboration right now, just to let people know as examples and also to just share, is one, with Oakland Undivided right now, all of the Peralta schools have made a commitment that every single one of their students can have access to a computer and internet. And there's also an opportunity to collaborate for any student. This doesn't go for Peralta, but if you are from a low-income background, the federal infrastructure bill said that you can get $30 off a month or free internet for the next 5 years. Nobody knows about that. Kind of like the other thing you were talking about. And, but this is something that can really help. So if you're interested in that, we can make sure that the word gets out. The second thing that we're partnering with is around the Oakland Promise. Some of you may have heard the vice president came out and we announced that every single one of the students from Oakland Public Schools will be getting $1,000 per year that can go towards not just a 4-year, but 2-year or technical degree as well. Within 4 years, so that for this next 4 years, you still have to apply, but you likely get it if you're from a low-income background. And then within 4 years, every single one, it will be an entitlement where everyone will get it through 2035. So again, it's something that we want to collaborate as we go forward, and we look forward to more.
Thank you, David. Did I have another question? I thought I saw one more hand. No? Well, now I'm going to say thank you again, final goodbye, and we will get this back out. Please, please, if you did not sign in or check in, please do so that you'll get the information, and we'll do a blanket, and then we'll give a period of time to get feedback, and then we will finalize with a permanent document working with WestEd and the data that they presented will be out on the Charette webpage. If you go to Chancellor's office, click on the Charette on the right-hand side, it'll take you to the page, or you can do a question to find out. But thank you all for being here. We appreciate it, and thank you for those comments. Sometimes getting the word out, communication. Thank you, everyone.